the affirmative action plan. So what kind of statistical analyses are we talking about? Well, the way that you have to think about the statistics within your affirmative action plan is it's kind of like taking your car to the shop. You know, every 3,000 miles or so, you're supposed to take your car in for an oil change, but, you know, the dealers also tell you about how, you know, every 6 months or every year when you hit certain mileage benchmarks, you're supposed to bring the car in for a full evaluation. And that's really what we're talking about, is a full evaluation. We're looking at everything from nose to tail. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I take my car into the dealer for something like that, it's always at least $800. And even if the car just came out of the showroom 3,000 miles earlier. So it can be expensive. And the same applies for the affirmative action plan, not from the standpoint of it can be expensive, but it is exhaustive, right? There's a lot that gets looked at. And so if you think about the car evaluation, right, think about your workplace. What we're looking at is nose to tail. Recruitment, hiring, once you're an employee, compensation, promotional, training opportunities, and then the exit process, terminations, voluntary, involuntary, and everything in between. Right? So we literally subject all of our employment practices to an evaluation to see, again, whether or not there are any roadblocks to equal employment opportunity. Right. So what's the first thing that we do when it comes to setting up our statistics? Well, the first thing that the regulations require is something called a workforce analysis or organizational profile. And basically what this is a visual aid for you to see how you are organized in terms of typically departments. All right, sometimes job families or some other type of unit. But it basically depicts, either with data or literally with boxes, in the case of an organizational profile, what each of those departments or units looks like and the demographics. So this tells you a couple things. One, it tells you what your lines of progression are within these departments. Similarly, it will tell you whether or not you tend to be concentrated by race or gender, or whether you are more underrepresented. All right? And so I've given you an example here on the screen where we've got two sample departments. We've got an accounting/administration department, and we have an associated warehouse department. And basically what we can see here is the types of employees, the jobs, that fall into each of those units,